Hey guys, welcome back to the Marketing for Tax Professionals podcast. My name is Emily and this is
Jesse Arrojave.
And today we have a really interesting episode for you guys. It's going to be maybe a little bit longer than usual, and we're going to be covering how to get your first 100 clients in your tax pro business. We want you to take down notes as much as possible and actually execute on the things that we're going to be discussing today. And I'm going to give it away to the first part. Jesse, go ahead.
Perfect. So we have to think about tax season in a couple of different phases. So if you're thinking your first 100 customers, you're thinking how quickly can I get them, or kind of what time frame am I looking at? So if you're thinking kind of the October, November time frame, you want to think of the first part of tax season being for early season filers, right? So what kind of messaging or what kind of things can I do for that? Middle of tax season, now you have more of the small businesses. So again, messaging towards that. And then towards the latter part of tax season, you're thinking, those procrastinators, the people who take a little while, right, to do their taxes. So one strategy that I like to leverage, if you're looking for your first 100 clients, you don't have, kind of maybe a big social media following, or you don't have a list of some sort to go after. One thing that I really like that a lot of tax professionals that I've worked with have employed is using their own contact list. Yeah. So leveraging friends and family. And they start to think, well, how do I reach out to them one by one? There's a really cool software that allows you from your phone to download your whole contact list. Yeah. Now, I know we were talking about a little bit offline, like, hey, is it a little weird to reach out to friends and family? Do I want them knowing about?
Yeah, because I do know that sometimes some business owners may feel a little bit weird about that. Maybe they don't want people to know that they're starting this new venture. Yeah. So what do you have to say about that?
So it really depends on how comfortable you feel with it, right? There's a lot of people who just like, I don't care. I want to put myself out there. I want to, not be afraid of letting people know that I'm doing taxes or that I'm a strategist. But there's a couple of things that come with that, right? So you can download a full list. Yeah. Now you can vet through that list. Actually, it would be a cool exercise for a lot of people to go on their phone, look at how many contacts they actually have, and you'll be surprised at how many you do have from like all walks of life. Yeah. And if they've gotten into your phone, you would think that there's some like a friend or a family
there's
member.
like a next level connection there. It's not really like a stranger.
It's not like a cold outreach type of thing, right? What I like to do is let them know that they can download that full list. You can kind of vet through it. Maybe there's like a friend that you got into a fight with and you're like, let me X this guy out. But it's really cool because you can download it. And now you can create like an SMS strategy. And one thing that we do on our side within Refundo Academy is offer that software where you can send out a mass text. Yeah. Now, it's not about just sending the text, right? Because if you kind of come across and say, oh, I'm a tax professional all of a sudden, people are going to think, okay, what's the background, or what kind of
like credentials do you have?
Credentials, or just like the face or the look, how professional are you? So I would highly recommend within the text message that you do send out something like, hey, I know you from X, Y, and Z. I am now a tax professional. I do this, this, and this. I help you with this, this, and this. Now, make sure that you do have a website to kind of back you up, right? Have the website so that they link to the website where they can book an appointment or some sort. They're now seeing a different kind of vibe from you. They're starting to see like, okay, this guy is the real deal. It's not just, oh, I do taxes on the side. No, I have an actual business where you're now having that first impression where they can see, I help real estate agents with their tax advisory, or I help individuals maximize their tax, refund at the end of tax season, or something to that effect. So I would highly recommend leveraging that part, just in case, you don't have like a big kind of following or a big kind of list to go after, at least to start.
Got it. So what I'm hearing is that before you do anything, it's set up your website, set some type of digital presence. So that way, any traffic or any person that might be a little bit curious about what you're doing can go there, can learn more about you, can see how much of a credible professional that you are. Right. Then the next step after that would be to tap into your personal contacts list using that software.
Sending a simple message, something like that, right? Like, hey, I'm starting a new career as a tax professional. Maybe not new career because you want to have some kind of standing, but something to that effect where you're
I'm going all in I'm going all in to be a tax pro and
or
serve
maybe
you guys.
maybe they didn't even know that you had been doing taxes, right? And a lot of these people need that kind of help, and maybe they might feel more comfortable reaching out to a friend that knows kind of the ins and outs of tax strategy that could potentially help them. There's a lot of things like we mentioned in previous podcasts where, if you have a kid, that can alter a lot of, how your tax refund is at the end of the season, or if you move, or if you get a new job or something like that. So those kind of questions, you want to start to at least bring them to the forefront so that they can feel, comfortable asking those, and then
so aside from so this message that you send, it can't be too generic, but it also can't be too deep, because then they might start questioning things. But what would be, hey, I'm going all in as a tax pro. I've been doing this for a while, but now I'm going all in. I have now this tax pro business, and here's my website. What is the call to action at that point? Is it go check out my website? Mm-hmm. Is it, do you have any questions? Or do you, what would be the call to action for that?
I would test a couple of different things. They can simply, hey, reply with any questions that you might have, right? That's to at least start the conversation. It could be to book an appointment if you have any questions about, your current tax situation. Love to help you out with some things like that. So at least either getting the conversation started or having them book an appointment so they can,
I would say maybe get the conversation started, especially if you understand the background of this list, right? When I create campaigns, I always think about the backstory of the list that I'm actually reaching out to. And if this is your personal contacts list, they're probably going to have questions more than anything. So maybe the call to action, in my opinion, it would just be, hey, if you have any questions, feel free to just reply back to this text message, and I'll be more than happy to go through some things with you.
And again, like you said, it's going to be, it doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people feel uncomfortable having that kind of conversation, or like I said, having people know that you do these things. But in most circles, the people that are going to advocate for you the most are your friends and family. They're going to want to at least give you a chance.
Yeah.
And if they do, be prepared. Have the right kind of message, have the right kind of, tax jargon in your arsenal to make sure.
And also have
that.
a really solid onboarding process too, because part of if you do get, let's say, your first 5 clients from that list, you want to make a good impression for those first 5 clients that you get. I actually just recently dropped a client workflow checklist inside our Facebook group, the Elite Tax Pros. And it's a step-by-step checklist on what your onboarding should look like once you get payment and bring them on board. So I would say make sure that you have those things set up too. What information do you need from them? Do you need to set up a form? Where are their documents going to be set up? All of those things I think are very important too, so that you can set a good reputation, good starting point, and then build some case studies off of that, some good testimonials, because those testimonials are going to be the future social proof for your business that you can use to get more customers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about how many are on your contact list, let's say if on average, I actually just checked before I came on, it was around 800.
Yeah,
right?
You're an extrovert though.
Right.
Don't ask me. I probably have 10. But anyways.
But I mean, even if you get 5% of those people, right, you're already looking at 40 customers. You're kind of halfway there. It makes it a little easier. And to kind of couple that with something else that we're going to, I guess, discuss is that referral bit, right? Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid to ask, hey, do you know anybody that might be interested in getting help with their taxes? And if there's, again, that familiarity with that customer, they're going to want to help you out some degree. But again, it's not just about looking for handouts. You want to be able to prove yourself with the things that you're going to be sharing.
Yeah.
Any kind of value, any
you
tidbits,
have to be good.
Keep them up to date with certain trends. Hey, did you know that this is happening? It can actually affect you. Just keep an eye out for that or something like that.
Yeah. Okay, so we have the website. We tap into our personal contacts list. What is next?
So you also want to do partnering with local businesses.
Yeah.
I think that's a thing that's, again, could be uncomfortable for a lot of newbies, new tax professionals. But one thing that I spoke to a tax professional last year, and they did that just before tax season. And I thought this was really cool. They went into a pizzeria. Right? They went to the pizzeria and they said, hey, I'd love to kind of, let's say, purchase ahead of time. Let's say, I don't know, $300 worth of pizza. Each pizza is around $3, right? So you can essentially give away 100 slices of pizza. Now that's the budget, $300. And then it was a little ambitious, but it had a little table right outside. And they asked the question, like, ask me anything about taxes and I'll give you a free pizza.
Yeah.
Right. And so a lot of people started to come around and they'll ask certain questions about like things that are specific to them. So for instance, like, hey, I have a W-2, how can I maximize my tax refund? Well, if you do have a business on the side, then it can offset some of your taxable income and you could do this.
Yeah.
Right. The whole thing is planting those types of seeds where you're now having conversations, you're becoming the authority figure, at least in your community, and you're giving them good value.
Yeah.
Right? And then you're getting a nice little pizza on the side. So it just gives them that feel of community, like, oh, this guy's trying to help, and you're getting a little incentive out of that as well. Same with for instance, like a question about a child tax credit, right? You want to be someone that's really knowledgeable and they can tell. Right, if they're asking those questions and you can spit out like a really good response, and because you just know the game so well and you just want to kind of be out there, it makes it really easy for them to start to see you as that figure. Again, plant that seed, because once tax season comes around, that's one of the things they're going to be thinking about. They don't talk to a lot of tax professionals throughout the year.
Yeah.
And so if they have that connection with you because you asked that question and they gave you the response you were looking for, and even if you went on Google and you kind of validated the response, you're like, okay, this guy knows his stuff. So I think it would be pretty cool to do that.
And I like that strategy for two reasons. Reason number one is basically you're putting yourself where your market is, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole gist of marketing, putting your business where the market is and where they're just kind of, doing their day-to-day stuff. You are just putting yourself in their faces. So I like that. I also like the fact that you are engaging with them to the point that even if, like, let's say you ask, like, or like say something along the lines of, okay, I can send you more information. What's your phone number?
Yeah.
Now you're gathering their information without feeling too salesy or like the normal things that you see online where it's like a lead magnet, and for the lead magnet you get an email. It's essentially the same thing, but it just feels more authentic to me because it's in person, because you are providing value right off the top. And that person would be, I think, more than likely just say, sure, I'll give you my phone number and you can send me more information, or I'll give you my email address and send me a pamphlet on child tax credits. And now you have that email address and you know that person is fairly warm enough to actually convert later down the line.
Yeah, and you can do it. You can certainly do it that way. Or if you want to kind of streamline and make sure, okay, I want to make sure that these leads come my way and I get the data capture.
Yeah.
So if you're looking, let's say $300 for the next 2 hours, free pizza, ask a question. Let's say they can, like, I don't know, scan a QR code at the table where it allows them to fill in the information, and then it takes them to a page, or actually not only takes them to a page, it can say like, hey, just fill out the information and we'll send you a text with like the voucher. So now you're validating the text message, like, okay, this is this guy's phone number. And then all you got to do is just go show it to the pizza guy and he'll give you the pizza. It could be pizza, it could be tacos, it could be empanadas, it can be anything.
It could be anything,
But like, I think it's a cool way, and it worked for him because he was an extrovert and he felt comfortable doing that thing. So I think it's good. And if you're thinking about the cost per lead, for, let's say, if it's $300 a slice, you're looking at 100 leads at $3 a lead.
Yeah.
That's really low.
Yeah, that's
right?
really
Because
low.
if you can convert that lead into a paying customer and you charge them $250 for tax prep, look at the margins there.
Yeah.
So and you get the visibility. Maybe somebody's passing around. They're filming and they're like, oh, you can get a free pizza here. So there's a virality component for it as well that can be pretty exciting for a lot of tax pros.
Yeah, I really like that. I also like the idea of partnering up with local businesses. So that's a local business partnership in itself, because you're also kind of maybe even dragging more people than usual to that pizza shop just because there's a lot of movement happening on the front of the store. So you're helping the pizza shop too. So that's a great strategy.
Yeah, and if those like those local businesses are like beacons of their community,
yes,
they might just at some point be like, hey, do you know this guy, or do you know this guy that Jesse, he does taxes. Once tax season comes around, some of those conversations are going to happen. And if these local businesses understand that you've been able to help them bring them customers, obviously you paid for it, right? They're going to want to reciprocate some of that some of that feeling, right? And say, hey, tax season around the corner. Maybe you can leave some things on the storefront and things like that.
So I have a quick question before we get into the next couple of steps. First question is a two-part question. First part is, do you think that a lot of tax pros that are just starting kind of fall off the bandwagon because they see this 100 goal to be fairly unattainable to them?
Like really ambitious?
Yeah.
It can. You want to be able to think of how you can make it into like bite-sized chunks. That 100 number looks really maybe unattainable, but think about it. During tax season, like the first 30 days are really crucial, especially for early season filers.
Yeah.
So you want to think about, okay, if I want to get to that 100 goal for those first 30 days, it's just 2 clients a day, 3 clients a day. Sorry, not 2 clients, 3 clients a day, right? And you'll kind of start to reach that. Now, how do I get to those 3 clients, right? You want to be able to, maximize your efforts from a community standpoint and say, okay, if I do this, I have the opportunity of getting maybe 30 from here.
Yeah.
If I maybe create some content, which most to start might be a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
Maybe I can get from here. Or what if I decide to do like a giveaway, where I'm giving away, let's say, I don't know, like a free vacation or like a plasma TV or something like that you can find on Best Buy for pretty cheap.
Yeah.
All of these routes, all of these kind of ways can start to add up to the 100.
Yeah, and then the second part is do you think that some people just get disappointed because maybe they try the personal contacts list and didn't work, and then they just kind of like stop?
Yeah.
And how do you go beyond that? How do you say, you know what, it doesn't matter, I'm going to keep on going? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
So you have to go with the right kind of mindset. Like, these are low hanging fruit, right? These are opportunities for you because, you're leveraging what you have. And if it doesn't work out for you, I mean, then maybe you don't have let's say like maybe the backbone to kind of start your own business. And that's okay too.
Yeah.
And that's okay too. You have to also be self-aware if you're willing to push and try to say, hey, I want to try this. I want to go into my local church and kind of, start to work with them a little bit more, or go to local schools and like PTAs and see how I can kind of like a bake sale, put my name out there. I mean, that's what it comes down to. You're going to leverage the low-hanging fruit just to make it easy, but it's never easy. And then you can ask anyone, starting a business is difficult. Yeah. And there's going to be certain learning curves and things that you have to push through and boundaries you have to cross. But it's extremely rewarding once you get to that point, because again, you have to learn how to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And a lot of these situations might feel that way at first, but you can certainly push past it.
Awesome. What other community partnerships are out there? Aside from, the local businesses, what else could you potentially partner up with? What other organizations?
I would highly recommend if you attend your local church, definitely do your local church. You can do, like I said, like schools, PTAs, kind of get involved in that sphere, chambers of commerce, if you want to kind of go that route. Yeah. Again, I've seen a lot of tax professionals do really, really well with like grassroots initiatives. Yeah. Like really well. And again, it's all about putting yourself out there. If you're not the type to do a lot of that, then you might struggle at first, but then you have more of like the paid routes. You can start to create content. Maybe that's a little bit more up your alley. But once you start to combine all these strategies, it makes it a lot easier to reach that potential 100, 200, 300 customers.
I think it's important. And you see this across the industries, but because we're saturated online with how to start a 7-figure business and how to launch right? Like, it's a lot of big promises, and I think we kind of get blindsided when we think that it's like one thing that is going to be the reason of your success, but it's really the combination of multiple things that, it's not like a linear journey where it's like, oh, I tried this and it worked, so now I gotta go and do more and amplify that with the next situation. It's a lot of testing and trial and error until you figure out, oh, this one sort of works, so I'm gonna keep on doing this, and then finding another thing that worked and then put it together and just kind of creating this puzzle. So I think the mindset is really important, especially when you're beginning, to just remain consistent and keep testing, and also being aware of what you're testing, because sometimes we're so much in the trenches of like delivering stuff to clients and other parts of the business that we forget the things, the efforts that we're doing, and we're not really keeping track of that data as well. So what else? What else after partnering up with the community?
So one other things that you can do that are pretty cool are like door hangers.
Oh,
right?
yes.
And again, this is very like community specific.
Yes.
And you just want to make sure that you have a strong offer. Like I know I've seen a lot where like maximize your tax refund, or minimize your taxes or things like that. But consider adding more like an offer stack. Like the more incentives that you kind of bring to the table, the easier it's going to be for them to say no. It's going to be really stupid for them to say no.
What kind of incentives are we talking about?
So things that are pertinent to the community. So for instance, like on our side, we offer tax professionals the ability to do like refund advances. So we offer refund advances up to $9,500. And for a lot of people in low-income communities, they need that. Right?
Yeah.
It really helps them, pay off their rent or utilities or things for their kids and stuff like that. So it's immediate assistance, and again, a lot of the people need that kind of help, and so you want to be able to promote that. Now, if you're starting to see that a lot of tax professionals in the area are doing that, then okay, let's kind of add something to it.
Yeah.
And one thing that I've seen to work well, it's interesting. It was prevalent a lot in the last 2 years. It hasn't really come out, at least in this past tax season. It's this idea of like 3 vacation stays.
Yeah.
And I always thought like, man, how do they do that? I mean, don't they go bankrupt? Like, how are you possibly do that? So they work with a company called Marketing Boost, where you pay, I think it's like $39 a month, and you're able to offer unlimited vacation stays. But what you can do to kind of incentivize or make the message a little bit more urgent, like for the first 100 people to file their taxes with us, they get a free vacation stay, anywhere in the country.
You're offering free vacation stays for getting your tax.
Now, I will say this: I've seen the experience where some of the
packages.
The packages, not so much the packages, the hotels, they're not like super great. They're more like 3.5 star. But if you're thinking of like, let's say you're going to Orlando with kids, and you're going to Disney World and something like that, like and you're traveling on a budget, like that's a good option to have, where you don't necessarily have to consider like a really, really, really nice hotel. It's something that's comfortable, it's affordable, and you're able to kind of package that.
But I think that's a great package, considering the diversity of the community that a lot of tax pros actually cater to. Mm-hmm. You're still giving a huge incentive. And I think the reason why it wasn't being used a lot was because obviously, the close down, the shutdown, and all that stuff happened. But people are now starting to travel again. Maybe it's something worth actually looking into and using it as an incentive.
Yeah, it really depends on, I guess, the audience that you're working with. Maybe they may not respond to it. Maybe they will. But I've seen it work really, really well. To where they start to kind of plan ahead and say, okay, well, now I'm getting the tax refund. I can schedule this out for this date. And there's a lot of different city options. There's even ones in like Cancun, where all you need to do is essentially kind of pay the taxes, which for like a 5-night stay ends up being maybe, I don't know, like $200 or something like that, versus, how much you would be spending if you're bringing your family. That's pretty dope. It gets expensive. And so that's an extra incentive for people to leverage. So you can use the refund advances, the free vacation stays, and then also start to kind of maybe position yourself as, hey, I'm just not like a gimmicky type of tax professional. I'm going to make sure that I get you the biggest tax refund possible, because I understand the credits that are important to you, the tax deductions that are important to you. Yeah. And then once you have, okay, refund advance, free vacation stay, maximize your tax refund because I know X, Y, and Z, or maybe even go a step further and go maybe even niche specific. Now you're like, oh, I'm getting this, and this. This is great.
And he specializes on me, like on my kind of people. Like,
whether it's like
a dentist or whatever it is.
Solopreneurs or small businesses, content creators, things like that, Uber drivers, freelancers. So again, the more that you kind of stack within the offer, the easier it's going to be for the consumer to at least pay attention, right, within those door hangers. And you can target people within a, 3-mile radius from the tax office. Maybe get a couple people, on, I don't know, maybe Craigslist, or maybe you have friends and family that want to make an extra
Yeah.
buck. Maybe like kids, your kids that want to kind of go in the communities and
Yeah.
start to put those there. So certainly an option for that.
All right. And is there another piece to the puzzle? Would you add?
Another piece to the puzzle. It never hurts to ask for more referrals.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to like when we mentioned like the leveraging friends and family.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that you can also ask that as well. Once you've exhausted all of those things, then you can start to go into maybe start experimenting with organic pieces of content, maybe some paid marketing strategies, because what's really cool about Facebook is being able to target people within, 3, 4, 5 mile radius with those kind of offers as well. So if they're not responding to,
but Jesse, I don't want to spend money on ads. What would you say with that?
So if you don't want to spend money on ads, then you be a little bit more organic focused, right?
Okay. But I would also argue it's like if you're spending $300 on a pizza, maybe you spend $300 on ads too, right? Like you could do both or either one. And also I think Facebook groups is something that should be leveraged too. Just the same, like if you're in New York, search for Facebook groups in New York and still stay local, right? Stay local. Because I think that is another part of the, underlying theme here of like staying local, your community, tap into your personal list and then tap into your community to get your first 100. And you can do so digitally by finding local Facebook groups too, and expanding your reach to, beyond the neighborhood that you currently work in.
Absolutely. And when it comes to those Facebook groups, definitely go niche specific. Like choose a vertical. Like I'm sure you're going to find teachers in New Jersey or dentists in New Jersey. Yeah. And then don't be so salesy when you do enter these Facebook groups. Make sure that you are adding value to certain comments or posts that they're doing, and then find a way to start asking questions about maybe the post that they did, or slowly start to transition into kind of what you do. But I would recommend not being so salesy up front, but certainly leveraging the Facebook groups to be more niche specific.
All right. I love that. Well, I hope you guys found tons of value on this particular episode. As always, the conversation continues inside the Elite Tax Pros Facebook community. If you guys have any questions or want to provide feedback, please leave it down in the comment box. It actually pushes us in the algorithm, and we would be very grateful if you engage with us.
Let's get these messages, get these strategies to many tax professionals as possible. We love being able to share that. It really helps us because it motivates us to like, oh man, this, I heard this. I've been going to the IRS shows quite a bit over the summer, and they're saying, hey man, I really love that tidbit, or I love how you guys are being more active on YouTube and stuff like that. So any questions, ideas, things you want to discuss, whether it's, tech, softwares.
And anybody that you may want to actually have us interview, we are totally open for that too. So just put anything, start the conversation in the comments, start the conversation inside the Facebook group, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Perfect. Thank you guys.